Joining us on stage now, we have Jackie Mattia, who is our VP of Strategy. She is going to be covering from data to dialogue, sparking connections that last. Let's give her a lovely welcome to the stage.
Hey everyone, as Kirsty mentioned, I'm Jackie Mattia. I lead Movable strategy team for all of our non-retail verticals, so financial services, media, tech, travel. In our short time today, we're going to explore how brands can better use your data to really spark dialogue with customers and build a lasting connection. Very obvious, I'm American, and something I've learned from my UK colleagues is that John Lewis Christmas ads are a bit of a national marketing and advertising treasure in the UK. I've watched some of these and agreed the soundtracks, the cinematography, they're all beautiful, but I think what really sets them apart is that in 2 minutes, they tap into emotions that are deeply human and connected. One follows a frazzled sister who is on Christmas Eve trying to find a gift for her sister, only to be transported through these beautiful memories of them together over the years. Another one shows a little boy who has raised a beloved but now come to find out very carnivorous plant that just before the holidays they need to replace with a tree for fear that it'll eat the presents and even the family terrier. And then the last shows a middle-aged, sort of out-of-shape dad, we can relate, that teaches himself to skateboard, really enduring crash after crash and humiliation to connect with his foster daughter who loves skateboarding. What John Lewis is showing us is that connection is the ultimate brand differentiator. Great marketing doesn't push messages, it pulls at our heartstrings. It makes us feel seen, it makes us feel understood and moved even in the smallest moments and interactions with a brand. We're living in one of the most paradoxical periods in marketing. On paper, I think we can all agree we've never been more powerful. Endless data, real-time insights, AI-powered creatives like you heard this morning, every tool imaginable to understand and reach our customers. But despite all that sophistication, many customers say they now feel less connected than ever to the brands that they work with. 68% of consumers say that brands are talking at them, they're not conversing with them. And that's the tension that a lot of us are sitting in today. Data everywhere, connection rare. As brand stewards, we need to make sure that automation doesn't outshine human authenticity and connection. We've become incredibly fluent at all the mechanics of personalization and using our data. We need to make sure that we're equally fluent in creating real meaning for customers from it. We're being asked to use technology to return to what made marketing and advertising special in the first place: empathy, storytelling, and human connection. Salesforce has a term for this gap in connection. They call it the trust gap. They say 73% of consumers expect that brands understand their unique needs, but only 43% actually feel a sense of trust and understanding from a brand. That's a 30-point difference in the expectation versus the reality of how consumers are experiencing brands. Marketers are in a tricky spot, right? Customers expect the brands that they love to know them, but they don't want us to overly track or overly monitor them. They want us to anticipate their needs, but not be overly presumptuous about intent. And most of all, they want brands to be there when they're needed, but not overwhelm them with messaging. I like how Mark Pritchard put it. It's not about more impressions, it's about deeper expressions. I'm completely aware this is the second time I've rhymed within 3 minutes being up on stage. But to really deliver those deeper expressions and form a lasting connection, I think that we can anchor to sort of 4 guiding principles or pillars when we're thinking about how to use our data in our marketing strategy. The first is showing up when it matters, knowing when to act and how to add genuine value with our data. The second is by playing the long game of consistency, maintaining the same proactivity, care, and quality across every moment, even when there's not a sale to be made, and across channels. The third is about reciprocity. It's creating a really clear, fair value exchange when you're using customer data. And then the last is about belonging, fostering community, fostering a shared sense of experience that turns users into real brand advocates. So I want to think about how those principles apply in the moments that define our daily brand interactions. How many of you flew here today? No? Okay, we had a lot of, I flew here. There were storms all over globally, especially in the United States. And I want you to imagine it's the morning that you have a flight. Storms are brewing, you're bracing for delays. Before you even get to the airport, you receive a message: "Hi, Alex, the weather's shifting. We can move you to an earlier flight, or we can hold your current seat. You click to change your flight, you get your new flight info, directions to your boarding gate, and you're told that there's a meal voucher waiting for you to accommodate that last-minute change. That's showing up when it matters. That's a brand using predictive data to anticipate your needs and remove the stress before it even starts. It's turning a moment of what could have been potential frustration into a moment of loyalty. Now picture this. It's a scorchingly hot day outside. You're rushing between meetings. Your phone lights up. Jamie, it's a hot one. Would you like your usual iced coffee ready in 5 minutes? You tap yes, and it's waiting for you by the time that you arrive. That's reciprocity in motion. That's a brand using your data, your transaction history, your location to give you back time in the form of convenience. Of all the relationships people have with their brands, none are as intimate or as delicate, I think we can all agree, than the one that you have with your bank. Imagine you're close to hitting a monthly spending limit you're set, and your bank proactively reaches out to you via email, also reinforcing that consistently when you open your app. You're 100 pounds away from overspending. We've boosted your grocery cashback to help you cover your essential items that you need, and we've also gone ahead and moved 50 pounds into savings so that you have a reserve. That's consistency. That's a brand showing up with the same proactive messaging, care, and tone, even when there's not a sale or an offer on the line. And then lastly, I want you to think about your music streaming app. You've been in high energy focus mode all day. You've been listening to tracks on your laptop while you're at work. Now it's evening, you're on your mobile phone, you're relaxing, and you get a gentle nudge when you open your app. It looks like you've been on a focus streak. Do you want to stay in the zone, or do you want to switch to something calmer? You click yes, and you're served up the most popular wind down playlists that are rated among fellow listeners, creating a sense of belonging and reacting to you in the moment. As we shared in this morning's keynote, Movable Link is reimagining how brands turn data into connection. We're doubling down on seamless data access and the ability to easily scale data-driven content across all of your channels within Studio, and we're pairing it with AI models and deep strategic intelligence through DaVinci. We've created a unified data platform that you heard a little bit about that enables marketers to connect data from any system of record, your CDP, your CRM, your ESP, with minimal IT support or services. We've built out one of the most extensive ecosystems of partner integrations in the market, with over 185 out-of-the-box integrations across nearly every major MarTech solution. As part of Tactics, we're rolling out an enhanced gallery of integrations within the platform UI that makes setting up one of these integrations easier than ever before. And we continue to expand that partner ecosystem to make data and content activation easier in channels like web and mobile. On the DaVinci side, we're providing marketers with models that allow you to use your data combined with DaVinci's AI to optimize your content, your subject lines, your frequency, and send time for each unique customer. When it comes to strategic insights, we're giving marketers even more granular data, as well as creative effectiveness, down to determining which creative builds the most lasting connection through retention effectiveness scoring. So I want to pivot away from the art of the possible that we just looked at, and I want to show you a few ways that our over 600 clients are using our technology today to deliver some of the best data-backed experiences in market and really building connections with their customers at every turn. Music is, in my opinion, one of the most personal things we experience. Everybody has a song that defines a moment. Maybe it's your breakup, maybe it's a summer, maybe it's a comeback, maybe it's watching Beyonce up here on a golden horse hanging over her audience at a Cowboy Carter tour, special moment for me. But when you're in a streaming platform, it's easy for the experience to start to feel pretty anonymous. You've got endless playlists, you have passive algorithms, you've got literal background noise. Amazon Music wanted to change that. Using Movable Link, they transformed every listener's habits into a personalized journey. Listeners receive dynamic emails and in-app messages that spotlight their most played songs and artists and show them where they rank among other fans. Gary, the marketing leader that we work with who brought this program to life, shared that when his daughter got this campaign and found out she was in the top percentile of Taylor Swift fans, she said, "This is the happiest day of my life, Dad." That's pretty connected. That's a serious fan. They're using live polls, which they embed in email, to have listeners vote on who they want to win music awards, and then they're personalizing the in-app experience based on which artist the customer has selected. They've also created an extensive library of personalized in-app messages. It includes everything from one-to-one offers to listeners' activities and stats and real-time recommendations that evolve with their behavior. Amazon Music was also one of our early adopters of our web solution. So a listener's top artists are displayed on web pages. They're then using web behavior to totally change email content based on which artist a listener has clicked on web. And then they're taking what would have been previously generic promo messages, and they're using that customer's favorite artist to personalize all of those messages, making them resonate more, making them more compelling. So show of hands, who regularly listens to audiobooks? Okay, so it dawned on me, audiobooks are a really solitary act, right, by nature. You press play and you disappear into a world of voices and ideas. The average Audible listener spends hours each week listening to stories on commutes, on walks, on workouts, and Audible really wanted to make that experience feel more shared and more celebrated. Every listener is receiving dynamic, data-driven moments that turn their listening behavior into a sense of achievement. They're sending email and push messages that recap listening stats, that highlight favorite genres, favorite titles, and most importantly, celebrate milestones with the customer. You've listened for 500 hours this year. You finished your 20th book. For me, that wouldn't be the case. They're using rich push notifications to really encourage listeners to come back into the platform and keep going by showing them exactly where they left off on their last title. They also sent a series of push notifications that build anticipation leading up to some of their biggest campaign drops. So they have an annual listening summary, and they tease out stats for the customer via push notifications in the days leading up to it. The beauty of their program is that the same data and content that powers the push reminders is also translating into email, into app, and each listener is walking away not just hearing stories, but becoming a story themselves. If you're a diehard sports fan, I just moved to one of the cities in the US that has some of the most, for lack of a better term, aggressive sports fans in the United States. And you really see that people are living for sort of this shared pulse of possibility. Everything's on the line for your team. But that can get pretty lost between the stadium and the phone. A lot of that emotion is lost, especially in the betting space, where it's replaced by numbers, by odds, by transaction behavior. Fanatics Sportsbook is bringing the feeling of the stadium back into the digital experience. They're using their data to give every interaction a pulse. They're sending fans emails that show personal highlights over the course of a sports season. They're using polls to capture fans' real-time predictions and spark some friendly rivalry. And then they're also using push notifications to build anticipation right in the moment before every game, surfacing bets that can be placed and available rewards that the customer has to place right when the excitement peaks. They're transforming every device into a front row seat to some of the largest stadiums in the world. I'll do a last pulse of the room, and this is one that's always my favorite to pulse people on. Who has done any sort of major home redecorating or renovation project in the past few years? Okay. So I'm seeing some smiles. I'm also seeing like a few twitches and some moments of anxiety. I think home decorating sparks, sure, excitement, but also some crippling stress and anxiety at times, right? Especially when you're doing it online. These purchases, these are higher ticket items. They usually have a longer lifespan. You're kind of stuck with them once you purchase. And if you've ever shopped a home website, there is endless SKUs. There's endless filters that you can do. Wayfair wanted to simplify that experience by using their data to make customer choices easier. They expanded their data set to include all types of real-time attributes, from available colors, from sizes, from discounts, real-time inventory, and they brought them seamlessly flowing into every single email. Customers see what's relevant, they see what's in stock and ready to ship. They also introduced a badging system that highlights some of their top data points for products. So things like which items are a customer favorite, which items are fast to ship, and that helps shoppers really recognize value instantly. For lapsed customers, they reignited a lost connection by referencing the customer's last purchase and then animating complementary product suggestions and even weaving the customer's name into a beautiful visual. Suddenly, the experience shifts from scrolling to someone really curating for you. If we pivot over to the news world, news is fast, it's fleeting. It's really hard to build a sticky connection with customers. Bloomberg thought to themselves, the stickiest way that we can bring customers in and create a lasting experience is to make them part of the headlines, part of the story. They launched a game which was wildly popular. It tests their readers' knowledge on a weekly basis of all the top stories in market. And then they're using Movable Link to send each player a beautifully designed, data-rich story that highlights their score, their ranking, and how they stack up against the broader reader community. The beauty of this was that each module was shareable on social media. So this let their most passionate readers show off how they'd engage with the brand and also creates an invitation for other users to join in. The result of this was a sense of community and a powerful new way for customers to connect with the Bloomberg brand. Each of these brands is across different industries, such as music, finance, retail, news, finding a way to really use its data for those deeper expressions to build a moment of listening to customers, responding, and connecting with them on a more resonant way to build a lasting connection. So I'll cap us out by saying I invite you all to connect with me. Thanks so much for your time today, and enjoy the rest of your Think Summit.